are investigating some of the fruit still bountiful at this time of year, fruit which would have been around thousands of years ago.
This is a prolific fruit of the countryside, the crab apple. This one looks like it may have some ordinary apple genes within it. You get a lot of that today, and those are usually less tart than the true crab apple. When it's like this, you can shake the tree and it'll rain apples down, so it's a very easy thing to collect. Let's see what that one's like. That was not too bad. That's what I think. I think that's got some modern genes in it. Bit bitter, astringent, a lot of tannin in there. But cooked over the fire, that one will probably be all right. But I don't think our ancestors had crab apples as favourable as this one.
As well as eating them straight from the trees, the hunter-gatherer would have had to find ways of preserving fruit as a useful food source throughout the lean winter, and we're going to attempt one possible method. Hawthorns are tricky to pick, but I've improvised a simple technique which may well have been used all those years ago.
They're looking pretty good, aren't they?
Yeah, pretty well.
That's about done, yeah. They look lovely.
They're nice and ripe, aren't they, this
Yeah.
batch?
Well, I brought with me the bowls we're going to need
Good.
to do
That's
this.
perfect, because it's
It'd be good for people to see.
sticky stuff by the time you get going.
What we're going to do is we're going to start to get the juice from these berries. And it's not an elaborate process, it's quite simple. I'm just going to crush them with my hands and squeeze the juice into this bowl. Obviously our ancestors didn't have this apparatus, but I'm using this because I want you to be able to see clearly what happens. They're very dry this year.
Yes, that's a very dry fish, isn't it? This is
Much drier
much
this year.
more glutinous, isn't it, than
Yep.
normal.
And more. We've had to add a little bit of water because this year the berries are very dry. Normally you don't have to do that. And what I need to do now is to start to skim out the stones and the particulate matter. I can just do that with my hands actually. It's quite easy to do. And just squeeze the juice like so. Try it. You can see, although it's very messy, we are getting most of the juice and most of the stones, with the odd one escaping. Gordon's hoiking those out, but most of the juice is going into this bowl, and the pile there is mostly stones and flesh.
That's right.
I don't know whether you can see it, but it's already starting to thicken, and that's one of the things that's amazing about this, is that this is actually going to go hard. It only takes 5 minutes and it's set hard, and what I'll do is I'll turn that out like a sandcastle, like that. Now that fruit jelly can be sliced and laid out in the sun on mats to dry into a hard fruit leather, and then that can be stored long term. I've got some in here, and that's what it looks like when it's been sliced and dried. In fact, this is 3 years old and it's still absolutely delicious. It's sweet and very, very tasty. That's beautiful. It's the nearest thing to a sweet from a sweet shop. Okay.
Yes, it's fruit gum. It's still as good as it was 3 years ago.
Yeah. We've got no evidence that this was done in the past, but I think that if our ancestors were aware of this, what we glimpse here is a food and a taste, a flavour that we just don't attribute them as having.
No, that's right. Especially once it's gone dry. That fruitiness becomes much stronger, doesn't it?
It's lovely. It's an apple-y licorice, really,
That's
isn't
right.
it? Wonderful food.
Our Mesolithic ancestors lived in a time before metal or pottery. The mystery surrounding the way they would have prepared and cooked food without pots is something which really interests me.
It's a beautiful part of the world.
Around the world, we see modern hunter-gatherers using basket work in ways we wouldn't imagine possible. Today I'm meeting with Linda Lemieux, who has been making baskets for over 20 years.
We've got to roast a wild boar.
She's demonstrating how to make a coiled basket, which, if tight enough, can hold water.
Now, this style of basketry, the coiled baskets,
Coiled basketry, yeah.
I'm sure that would be in common because we've good materials, don't we?
Absolutely, we've got loads of soft materials, rushes and straws and grasses. And I'm sure they would have made lots of bowls and
Like you're making
finer,
there.
exactly like I'm making here, with the most primitive of tools and stitching it with anything that was to hand. Okay, so here I'm just joining a new skein. And I use the bone to make a little channel through the rush so I can poke the skein through and stitch it and hold tight.
Beautiful pace to life, though, isn't it? Doing this sort of thing.
Definitely.
I think, in a sense,
More people should try it.
this is like time travel. To sit here and do a bit of this.
Yeah. Oops.
The irony is that these type of baskets don't survive in the archaeological record. It's so rare to find anything like this. Tantalising.
Yeah.
What about that one there? That's from Britain, isn't it?
That's from the Orkneys. Yeah. Yeah. That's straw.
How did that work?
And it's a modern made one, and they've used ordinary string.
Sisal string and straw.
Yeah, and straw.
But the way it's radiated
Yeah,
with
it's
a
like
twist in it, it's gorgeous.
It's like a star, isn't it? In the old days, they would have used juncus rush.
Yep. So there is a clue that this type of basketry was here.
Definitely.
Well, one of the things that's really interesting about all of this technology, the knowledge is portable. In that if you've got the nimble hands, you've done this all your life since childhood, you can make these things swiftly, quickly.
And it's a very lovely feeling too that you can make a basket anywhere, and I frequently do, anywhere in the world. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
The processed acorns have been left to leach in the stream for a couple of days to remove the bitter tannins. But to make it more palatable as well as digestible, we're going to attempt to cook it using one of Linda's baskets. We're going to heat rocks in the fire until they're red hot and then add them to the mush.
That's good.
It's also some of the dark hue has gone, hasn't it?
Yeah, no, it's actually lightened quite a lot.
We know that this method was used in other parts of the world, and it will be an interesting experiment.
It doesn't look very appetising, does it?
Well, it doesn't look too bad.
You think if they served that up in a school dinner, it would go down well?
Well, as long as they thought it was chocolate pudding, I think it might.
Yeah, carob. Looks a bit like carob, doesn't it? I think I'd go more for a
Did
sort
you
of
say
high
carob or
class.
cowback? Slight smell of burning there. It's interesting that it smells like burning bread.
It does, doesn't it? It has that
Toast.
starchy taste.
Yeah,
smell
it
to it.
smells like toast.